Squidward Tentacles is the most self-aware character in Bikini Bottom. He knows he is not famous. He knows his art is not appreciated. He knows he lives between two people who will never fully understand the life he wanted to have. And he has built, across 25 years of episodes, an entire arsenal to protect himself from that reality. Condescension, sophistication, the ability to make others feel small, a tone of voice that can strip the dignity from whatever you just said before you finish saying it. Squidward does not have power in the traditional sense, but he has this, the capacity to look at someone and reduce them. That weapon works on almost everyone in Bikini Bottom. It even works on SpongeBob sometimes, and SpongeBob is the most relentlessly optimistic character the show has ever produced. You can see it, the moments where SpongeBob genuinely wants Squidward's approval, where Squidward's contempt lands and SpongeBob flinches. The wanting is there, and whenever the wanting is there, Squidward has leverage, except Patrick. And here's the thing nobody stops to explain. It is not that Patrick is too stupid to understand Squidward's contempt. It is not that Patrick does not notice. The show actually tells us specifically that Patrick is more capable than SpongeBob of detecting Squidward's sarcasm and malice. He perceives it. He just does not care. And that distinction between not understanding the weapon and understanding it but being immune to it is what makes their dynamic one of the most interesting in the show. Let us go back to the very beginning. Season 1, Naughty Nautical Neighbors. This episode is usually discussed as the first time SpongeBob and Patrick fight, but the more interesting story is what happens to Squidward. He engineers their breakup as a power move. He replaces their bubble messages with insults to get them out of his life, to reassert control over his own yard. It works. They fight. He wins. And then Patrick performs CPR on him, and suddenly Squidward is Patrick's best friend. Squidward did not choose this. He was grateful and he said too much, and Patrick took it at full face value and moved in. Every action Squidward took to get rid of Patrick produced more Patrick. The manipulation failed not because Patrick saw through it, but because Patrick metabolized the outcome and turned it into friendship. Squidward's most sophisticated chess move ended with Patrick living in his house. This pattern holds across the entire series because the logic underneath it never changes. Squidward tries to win a battle using tools that require a certain kind of opponent. Patrick is not that kind of opponent. Season 4, Krusty Towers. Mr. Krabs converts the Krusty Krab into a hotel with a single guiding rule: never deny a guest any request. Patrick checks in, and then Patrick starts requesting things. A bubble bath, someone to unclog his toilet, more specific things, more inconvenient things. Squidward is the one who has to fulfill each request, and he does it with visible suffering, seething behind every room service delivery. Patrick is not torturing Squidward on purpose. He does not know Squidward finds this degrading. He is just ordering things. He has no map of Squidward's dignity, so he has no way to target it. He just keeps asking for things, blissfully, infinitely, without any concept of when to stop, because he has no concept of what he is doing to Squidward. And that is precisely what makes it so effective. You cannot negotiate with someone who does not know there is a negotiation. You cannot shame someone who does not know they should be ashamed. Same season, Wishing You Well. Squidward falls into a wishing well and is trapped with SpongeBob and Patrick. Patrick starts a fight with him because Patrick thinks Squidward said he was afraid of Santa Claus when Squidward said he was claustrophobic. Patrick sits on Squidward. Physically, Squidward has a full vocabulary, a lifetime of cultivated superiority, a talent for making people feel beneath him, and Patrick just sits on him. That is the whole fight. That is how it ends. Now look at the season 3 episode, the camping episode, which is where this dynamic gets the most theatrical. SpongeBob and Patrick build an anti-sea bear circle. Squidward thinks this is ridiculous. He refuses to get in. He scoffs at the rules. He says he is not afraid of some made-up creature. And then a real sea bear shows up and attacks Squidward repeatedly for increasingly absurd reasons. Limping, crawling, wearing a sombrero in a non-goofy fashion. After 6 attacks, SpongeBob and Patrick have been in the circle the entire time, safe, while Squidward is outside getting mauled for things Squidward cannot stop himself from doing. Squidward's self-awareness is literally the reason the sea bear keeps finding him. His pride keeps him from accepting the circle until he has no other option. Patrick has been standing safely in the circle the whole time because Patrick never had to overcome any pride to get there. And then season 5, Breath of Fresh Squidward. Squidward electrocutes himself and becomes a completely different person, cheerful and generous and friendly, essentially a version of SpongeBob. He immediately starts trying to join SpongeBob and Patrick's friend group. And Patrick, who has absorbed Squidward's contempt in every other episode without comment, immediately accepts nice Squidward, fully, without hesitation or conditions. By the end of the episode, Patrick has become Squidward's best friend, and Squidward has been disinvited from his own surprise party because SpongeBob felt replaced. When Squidward gets re-electrocuted at the end and returns to his original personality, he has lost his place in the social circle entirely. Patrick does not notice. Patrick accepted whatever version of Squidward showed up. He had no preference. He had no investment. He was never invested. That is the part most people gloss over. Squidward loses to Patrick not just in individual confrontations, but in the long game. Because in the long game, Squidward is playing for something. He wants recognition. He wants to be better. He wants Bikini Bottom to acknowledge that he is more than what it sees him as. That wanting is the wound. Patrick is not playing for anything. He has no destination he is trying to reach. He has no status he is defending. There is nothing Squidward can threaten because Patrick has placed nothing at risk. So what is the actual weapon Squidward uses, and why does it not work on Patrick? It is shame. That is the weapon. Everything Squidward does, the condescension, the eye rolls, the artistic pretension, the sighing, the way he says your name like it is a mistake someone made, all of it is calibrated to make you feel like you are less than you thought you were. And it works on people who have a gap between how they see themselves and how they are afraid others see them. It works on people who are trying, who have an image they are protecting, who care about the difference between being smart and being seen as smart. Patrick has no image, he has no gap. He does not have a version of himself that he is afraid Squidward will puncture, because he has never looked at himself through anyone else's eyes long enough to build one. He is not confident in the sense of having overcome insecurity. It is deeper than that. He has never experienced the insecurity that confidence is built on top of. You cannot shame someone who has no shame to reach. You cannot reduce someone who has never measured themselves. This is what makes the Patrick Squidward dynamic one of the darkest comedies in the show, once you see it clearly. Squidward is articulate, conscious, aware of his own failure in a way that causes him real pain. He suffers. He knows he suffers. He has spent 25 years building tools to manage that suffering, and the primary tool is making others feel what he feels. It does not work on Patrick, not because Patrick is too stupid to feel it, but because Patrick represents the one configuration of a being that Squidward's entire arsenal was not built for. Squidward's weapons were built for someone who cares. And Patrick, in every episode, in every confrontation, in every moment where Squidward brings his best contempt and Patrick just continues to exist in front of him, simply does not. Squidward is one of the most intelligent and most suffering characters in the show. Patrick is neither. And Patrick wins every time. Because in Bikini Bottom, the cost of being smart enough to know you are losing is that you can be beaten by someone too simple to know there was a fight. But here's what that actually means for Patrick. Because if Patrick's immunity to shame is what makes him undefeatable, then it is also what makes him the most dangerous character in Bikini Bottom. Squidward loses to Patrick, but so does everyone else, eventually. We have seen what happens when Patrick's needs and someone else's well-being are in conflict, and Patrick has no shame to stop himself. And that is a territory the show barely scratched the surface of.